All right, I just finished reading Spider-Man by Roger Stern. I loved it, and I just want to go over some of my thoughts. Let's take a look. All right, so first of all, I love the cover showing Spider-Man and the Hobgoblin. It's a really, really cool image, and it's actually one of my favorite Spider-Man covers in terms of like for omnibuses. I really love this one. If I could turn this one sideways on my shelf to display this, I would. Unfortunately, I don't have that much room, but yeah, I really love this cover. So definitely like the build of this omnibus and the cover they decided to go for. The spine is very plain, but that's kind of indicative of the omnibuses from the Bronze Age era, which this is. And then the back, I really like how Marvel does this, puts all the covers, and what does this include? Collecting Spectacular Spider-Man 43 through 61, 85, and The Amazing Spider-Man 26, 224 through 252, and Annual 16 and 17. Yeah, so let's get this dust cover off. This book is 1,300 pages, or to be more specific, 1,296 pages. And let's just get into it. I'm actually surprised that it's not like Spider-Man by Roger Stern and John Romita Jr., because he does most of the art in here, and it's actually, I love it. And I understand kind of why people sometimes say, oh, here you go, with John Romita Jr. Yeah, his art in here is absolutely beautiful. And this is when he was doing his art more like his father, John Romita Sr. And I have heard people say they prefer John Romita's old school art, which is what you get in this book, over his more recent style, which is kind of blocky, almost looks Kirby-ish. I'm actually in the camp where I really love his modern art, so I don't know if I would say that I prefer this over that or vice versa. But I can understand more after reading this why people are like, oh, I like the traditional John Romita Jr., I like how he used to draw, whatever. I kind of see where they're coming from. So the big two creators here are, let's get this keyboard out of the way as much as I can. Like I said, Roger Stern and John Romita Jr., but you also have other ones in here like Marv Wolfman, Bill Mantlo. We have Jim Mooney on here, Murray Severin. Yeah, all the creators on this omnibus did a really great job, and the inkers and colorists and everything. You get a table of contents, which is great. All right, we have a foreword by Roger Stern, and then we get right into it. The first part of this book is mostly Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man. Is most of the issues that start off in the beginning. I actually have the Spectacular Spider-Man omnibus that comes a little bit before this. I think they're going to make a second volume of that soon, which I will pick up. And actually, I did like that Omni, the Spectacular Spider-Man. So this kind of continues from those pages. Oh, and really just like the art throughout this whole book is really great. I super enjoyed it. Oh, okay, yeah. You have Madame Belladonna is one of like the first villains in here, or in one of the first arcs, and she has this like noxious gas that she uses to subdue her enemy, and that obviously is a problem for Spider-Man because he's kind of susceptible to that kind of attack. And it's kind of a mystery who she is, and she's like in fashion or something. Forgive me, I'm not going to remember every single one of these stories. It took me a little bit to get to read this because this is one of those omnis where it's Bronze Age, so there is a lot of dialogue and exposition, and the way I kind of see it is like I'm currently also reading the Hush omnibus by Jim Lee and I forget the writer, but I can read like 3 of those issues in the same amount of time I read one of these. It's just a slower read, which is fine, but like I said, it took me a little longer to get through it. So some of these early stories, I don't remember all the details exactly. We got J. Jonah Jameson here is on a, looks like he got kidnapped. Oh, right. This guy's setting up. This is a concept that I've seen a lot in comics, is like there's like a beam or something that causes people to go crazy and like get angry. I know Jack Kirby did that in his Captain America run where he came back into Captain America for a little while. That's the 4th Captain America book, Omni. And I've seen it in other places too. So it's kind of like it's kind of I don't know if I would call it overused, but a very commonly used idea in comic books. But Spider-Man finds the device and he breaks it. And yeah, let me skip ahead a little bit more because we're not going to go through every single page of the book. Oh, this one was pretty good because there's a lot of suspense. The writing got better in this era, Bronze Age, and the storytelling got better. And I think this is the beginning of when you really start to get very, very good. Don't get me wrong. The stuff that came before this was good in its own way, but these stories, you get a lot of suspense and you get a lot of dynamic characters and villains, and there's a lot going on in Peter Parker's life. Like, is he going to stay in school? Is he going to be able to pay his rent? Is he going to be able to get pictures? It's saving the day versus also I need to get pictures so I can pay my rent by being a photographer for the Daily Bugle. So all that kind of combines to make a really good story. And this one right here, where he's chained up, he's going against the Vulture, is definitely really suspenseful because he's like, he gets put in this like where they cremate people, I guess, and he's in chains and he has to get out and he's on fire, and the gas has already made him slow and sluggish. And of course, though, he's our hero, so he gets out of there. But the art. I mean, I'm probably gonna talk about the art over and over again throughout this book. I really love Bronze Age art, or this era of art. This is Bronze Age, right? Let's just make sure. All right, so this isn't really Bronze Age. This is 80s, early 80s. So this is like at the end of the Bronze Age. Although I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing here that the Bronze Age is considered to have run from 70 to 85. So I guess this is considered Bronze Age still. Yeah, okay. Anyway, after doing a little check there, let's keep going. Yeah, the Vulture actually makes quite a few appearances in here. And I actually started to like him more as a villain during this run. Oh, right. You have Peter Parker is a grad student, right? At what's the name of his university again? Something I forget, but he's a grad student, so he's also like a teacher, a teacher's assistant. So he's overseeing some classes and he has to grade papers and stuff, I think, sometimes. And that actually becomes a big plot point, everything that happens with him and, his struggles with trying to be Spider-Man and trying to also do his labs as part of his grad program and study for his tests and, make it to all the classes and stuff like that. Here's Belladonna back again. All right, we're going to skip forward a little bit more. Oh, we got a little Mysterio. That's fun. Let's go a little more bigger jump here. There's also some famous covers in here. When you go through this, you'll see. I don't know if I can find one, but I know there's like a famous Hobgoblin cover in here. There's a lot of like key issues that come out of this era. So it's pretty cool to actually read the content of like some of the books that you see a little bit priced up on the shelves sometimes when you go to conventions and things like that. His spider sense plays a really big role here. This run really shows you how important his spider sense is to his being a superhero, because it gets him out of so many sticky situations. There are times when he doesn't have his spider sense, and I won't go into why because that is a little bit of a spoiler. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but it's just a plot point or whatever. But he really struggles when he doesn't have the spider sense, and it really, I wouldn't call it overpowered, but it's like, it shows that like the spider sense is one of his strongest and most important abilities as a superhero, in my opinion. It'll alert him, like, let's say he just changed into a spider suit in a closet and he needs to get out, go out the skylight and go start swinging around the city. It'll alert him if there's like somebody outside the door, that could see him. So even little things, it's not just like, oh, you're about to get shot or a punch is about to hit you. It'll tell him if there are people nearby that he needs to be worried about. It'll tell him at near the end of this book, he keeps getting these big like spider sense like spikes like that hit him really hard. And what it turns out is that is the arena appearing for the Secret Wars storyline, for the Secret Wars arc or whatever. So he's even sensing like cosmic things happening with his spider sense. And at first he doesn't know what it is. And then of course he eventually follows it and finds out, oh, there's this arena in Central Park. And then boom, there you go. He's trapped in Secret Wars. So it's his spider sense is pivotal. It's extremely important. Oh yeah. And then you have his relationship with Black Cat this is when it, first becomes a thing. And, it's very interesting because she is a villain at first, right? She's a cat burglar, and he starts to like her, starts to fall in love with her. She doesn't know his secret identity. At first, he tries to get her to, stop her life of crime. She can't really do it, but eventually, she decides, I'm gonna be on the straight and narrow, and I'm gonna pursue this relationship with Spider-Man. And then that's why this book is so good. The character dynamics, because even so you have what's going on with the Black Cat, which I think is interesting, and then you have Mary Jane now is coming back in town, and she's gonna stop by and see him, and he proposed to Mary Jane already, and in the past, and she had said no, so he has a complicated relationship with her. It's it's like a soap opera almost. And I don't know. I thought it made for a very interesting read. Oh yeah, this story with the Juggernaut was great. And you know what? You know what I realized? Oh, and Madam Web was in it as well. Madam Web. So that it's kind of cool. They just had the movie that came out with Madam Web, even though the movie got horrible reviews. What's interesting about this story with Juggernaut is like the resolution is him getting spoiler if you want to read this, but skip ahead 30 seconds. But he gets trapped in cement under, like, I guess he doesn't need to hold his breath because he walks under, at the beginning of this issue, he like walks underwater a really long way before he gets to land. Yeah, more Madam Web. So I guess this wouldn't kill him, but he gets like trapped deep inside like the cement foundation of a building. And that's it. He never reappears in this in this omnibus. And we never find out, does he make it out of that, concrete once it, even after it hardens, or is he trapped in there still? He's just going to be part of the building's foundation. I don't know, because it's not in this book what happens to him. So, oh, this cover's cool. I always like the Juggernaut as a character, though. I think he's a very cool villain. So he's one of my favorite Marvel villains, I think. Look at this. He's bending a steel, like a steel, I don't know what you call it, steel rail or whatever, like a knot. Oh, you got Spider-Man swinging around the wrecking ball. Spider-Man's trying like all these different ways to stop the Juggernaut, and nothing he does works. It's crazy. It's like he puts in all of his like strength, comes up with clever ideas, trying to shock him, trying to do all this different stuff, explosions. Nothing works. But what eventually works is, let's see if I can get to that. Oh yeah. So he gets buried in the cement. There you go. And it's like, okay, so now he's just in the building's foundation. How does he get out of there? I guess he's the Juggernaut, right? So nothing can stop him. So he gets out of there eventually. All right, let's skip ahead a little more. Oh, right, we have the Wisp comes into play in here. That's a kind of an interesting story arc. Oh, right, we get the origin of Photon in here, which was pretty cool. I did not know how this character came to be. or I guess in this she was Captain Marvel. She wasn't Photon yet. But we get the entire origin story for Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel in here. So just one more thing to add to the information, add to the lore that I'm aware of about these characters. You got the Thing, got the Fantastic Fours in this issue. Great art, man. What was in this one? Oh, right. So now the Hobgoblin comes in. Now, I forget who the Hobgoblin is, and it doesn't reveal to you by the end of this who it is. But this Hobgoblin arc was really good, really suspenseful. Oh yeah, now we get the origin of the Vulture, which is pretty cool as well. But yeah, I would say my favorite thing from this omnibus is the Hobgoblin, and his origin and how he got his powers, and how he kind of took a lot from, he has the journals of Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. So he reads these journals and he figures out where all the, Green Goblin equipment is like stashed, and he goes and he raids it all and he gets all the equipment, but then he makes improvements. He makes, he gets the powers of Green Goblin as well. But he does it in a very strategic way. And more Black Cat. And so yeah, that's basically where this finishes off, is with the kind of the saga, I'll call it, of the Hobgoblin, and it was really good. So I'm happy I read this, and I'm extra happy I read this because I didn't know that much about the Hobgoblin before reading this, and now now that I do, I'm like, oh man, this character is awesome. So, oh, and one of the other, another thing is like a big plot point happens with Harry Osborn at the end of this. I won't give that away, and with J. Jonah Jameson, a big plot point happens with him at the end of this book as well, and I won't give that away either. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then one of the last issue in this book is Spider-Man returning from Secret Wars with his new black costume, and you actually get to see like how the costume is. It's a cool page. How it's different and how it's kind of sentient and how it will like morph and stuff and change its shape on his body and all this stuff. The beginnings of Venom, so. That's very cool, and it kind of ends off in a cool place. I've been reading a lot of the omnis that lead up to Secret Wars, and I have the Secret Wars omnibus, so I think I'm going to read Secret Wars probably next. It's a very short read, but like a lot of the omnis I've been reading, the Secret Wars arena has been appearing in them. Like I read Fantastic Four by John Byrne, and that happened in The Thing, and this. What was the other one? Something else I read, and so I'm like, oh man, all these characters, I've just been reading their stories, and they keep ending up in Secret Wars at some point. In the Beyonders arena. So I will definitely be getting to reading that soon. Extras in the back. And yeah. So my overall thoughts. Let me put this back on. All right. So overall thoughts. My overall thoughts are everybody should read this Spider-Man run. I think this, inspired a lot of what happens in modern Spider-Man. And I think it's a really important part of Spider-Man's history. And you get the, first appearances of some cool villains, and then some really good story arcs with existing villains. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And, I enjoyed the art all the way through, which was definitely a plus. And I definitely want to read more stories by Roger Stern, because I think he did an absolutely great job. And like I said, it can be wordy, it can be a little bit of a long read, but I think it it's worth it. And it pays off in the end, definitely. Especially during that like last quarter of the book, I was like really, really into that part. So hang in there and read it, and I think you'll be happy you did, definitely. So yeah, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe.